Hello, students. Good day. For today's discussion, we will be discussing the one of the developments of science and technology under the lesson two, the cradles of science. We're done discussing the first two development of science technology, in which we have discussed the first one, the development of science and technology in Mesoamerica, in which there are three civilizations: the Mayan, the Inca, and the Aztec. Then last time we have discussed also the development of science and technology in Asia. More specifically, on we focused on two countries. We have the populous, at the same time the oldest countries in Asia, the China and the India. So at this moment, we will be discussing development of science and technology in Middle East and Africa. So I understand that Middle East is part of Asia, but geographically, if you can check the map, Africa and Middle East is somehow close enough. So most likely these area also are I mean situated or populated with Islam groups. So here we will be discussing the ancient African civilizations, and we will be uh, um, discussing also or focusing on the significant contributions of Middle East and Africa, especially to global science and technology. It emphasizes that these regions were not merely passive recipients of knowledge from Europe or Asia, but active cradles of discovery, innovation, and engineering excellence. Best example for this is the pyramid, in which it was built with a perfect one. Asia, during the different historical periods, such as the Islamic Golden Age and various African civilizations, such as the ancient Egypt, the Mali, the Great Zimbabwe, the advancement in medicine, mathematics, astronomy, metallurgy, and architecture shaped the global knowledge systems in these countries. Just try to think the modern hospital system, such as the sterile surgery, detailed medical textbooks, and structural medical education. Many of these foundations were laid down by Middle Eastern and African scholars before the existence of the Europe Renaissance. And it's very important to understand this kind of history because it helped us to correct the misconception about the scientific advancement that was centered only in Europe. But the advancement of technology is not isolated in Europe, but also the Middle East and Africa also give contributions. It shows that knowledge is a product of cultural change, openness, and diversity, and societies thrive scientifically when they foster collaboration and respect across different peoples and beliefs. So Middle East and Africa, it's the Islamic Golden Age. It's a crucible of knowledge. From the 8th to the 13th century, that's the Islamic Golden Age, and became rather a center of learning and innovation. Cities like Baghdad, Cordoba, and Cairo in Egypt hosted libraries, observatories, and universities. And that period was remarkable not just for the scientific output, but also the openness or the inclusive intellectual climate among Muslims, Christians, and Jews who've studied and worked together and under a relative religious groups or freedom. They have this what we call the House of Wisdom in Baghdad, in which it became a hub for translating and expanding upon works from Greek, Indian, Persian, and Chinese tradition. So imagine a Google of the ancient world where scholars from different backgrounds, different religion, they met daily to exchange knowledge, and these mathematicians solving astronomical problems, physicians debating treatments, and of course linguists translating ancient Greek into Arabic and also Latin for Europe. And this period, it teaches us that diversity and free exchange of ideas are catalysts for rapid innovation. In science and technology, it underscores how open-mindedness and respect for diverse perspective directly influence the pace and breadth of scientific progress. That is why also in this generation, in the stage also, or this development, the Asia, the Middle East and Africa rather, it there, I mean there is what we call the freedom of speech that time, because again, the Jews, Christians, and Islams were given a freedom to talk, to have a collaborative conversation. Let's discuss the pioneers of the Islamic Golden Age, more specifically, uh, individual who have mastered or expert in medicine and optics. There are two major individual or people who stands out. We have Al-Razi. Al-Razi is a Persian physician who classified minerals, discovered alcohol and kerosene, and he even wrote 200 books, many of which influenced both Islamic and European medicine for centuries. We also have Ibn al-Haytham, the father of modern optics. He revolutionized optics by proving that vision works through light, reflecting off objects into the eye, not from the eyes themselves. And his invention of the pinhole camera, it lays the foundation for cameras, telescopes, and microscopes. And because of that kind of innovation and knowledge, it was later redeveloped by some astronomers and mathematicians who's made a contribution to the development of these telescopes and microscopes. Just like Galileo Galilei, who was known as the inventor of the telescopes. So think about the modern photography or glasses right now. So without Ibn al-Haytham's experiments about lights and lenses, your smartphone camera and even NASA's telescopes might not exist. Without his knowledge about optics and lenses, we don't have those cell phones like glasses, no, and even telescopes. Similarly, Al-Razi's medical encyclopedias acted like an ancient medical Wikipedia. It gives our doctors, it gives our generation right now to be thankful for this kind of books that Al-Razis have compiled. So these two individuals, it shows or it highlights how experimental methods and curiosity shape scientific revolution. It shows that groundbreaking ideas often arise from questioning widely accepted beliefs, and then later on, it will be proved with evidence. Aside from the in the expert in optics, we have also expert in mathematical and medical giants. We have Al-Khwarizmi, just like what I mentioned, the father of algebra. He was coined as the father of algebra because he was able to establish a book named Algebra. It's standardized the Hindu-Arabic numeral system, and he introduced us the algorithms, the concept, and the backbone of today's computing. We have also Ibn Sina, a polymath who integrated knowledge from many cultures into the canon of medicine, which served as the medical authority in Europe and the Islamic world for the centuries. Now, when you use your calculator, follow computer instructions, and solve algebra problem in schools, you are relying on Al-Khwarizmi's contribution. When doctor prescribes medicine, give diagnostic process, they follow has roots in Ibn Sina's systematic medical approach. This demonstrates that the global legacy of mathematical thinking, and of course, and also the systematic and medical practice, without these foundations, modern technology, such as from smartphones to space travel, wouldn't be possible. And it's also a reminder that mathematics and medicine are deeply connected to cultural and historical contexts. Next, let's proceed to about surgical innovation and astronomical precision. We have also the father of modern surgery. It was Al-Zarawi. He created over 200 surgical tools which are still recognizable today. And his work taught doctors in Europe for 500 years. We also have Al-Batani, who made precise astronomical calculations, refining the length of the solar year with 99% accuracy. And of course, that is before the invention of telescopes. Now, if ever you have seen a surgical scalpel or forceps, no, when you try to look into operation, you're looking at tools which are very similar to Al-Zarawi's designs. Likewise, modern calendars, GPS system, and even space missions depend on accurate astronomical measurements, which was pioneered by scholars like Al-Batani. And this reinforces rather that precision tools and accurate measurements are the foundation for both medical and space age technologies. And this work of these pioneers such as Al-Zarawi and Al-Batani, it shows that scientific knowledge uh, accumulates over centuries, building layer upon layer. If there is the the rise of golden age of the Islams, we also have the declinement of the Islamic age, the decline of the Islamic golden age. Take note, it's not about, it's always rise above, but of course, Islam countries also experience um, downfall. Innovation slowed due to multiple factors, such as the Mongol invasions, who destroyed key learning centers like in Baghdad House of Wisdom in 1258. And of course, the Crusades disrupted trade and knowledge exchange, and political mismanagement weakened economies and governance. Imagine if today's internet, universities, and research institutions were suddenly destroyed. How much knowledge, technology, and innovation would be lost? That's what happened when major libraries and centers of learning were burned during the time of downfall under the Islamic Golden Age. This stresses the scientific progress is fragile. Wars, political instability, and the lack of support for scholars can undo centuries of progress. That's why safeguarding knowledge and fostering peace is essential for technological growth. We're done with Middle East. Let's proceed to Africa's enduring scientific legacy. Africa's history in science and technology, it stretches far beyond colonial narratives. Ancient African civilization, they were pioneers in mathematics, astronomy, metallurgy, medicine, and even architecture. However, after decolonization, many African nations have made science national priority, contributing to global research in agriculture, medicine, and engineering. And these continents' legacy, it includes both ancient innovations and modern scientific advancements. Just like, for example, the world's first carbon steel was made in Tanzania over 1,500 years ago, long before the Industrial Revolution in Europe. Today, African scientists are developing drought-resistant crops that help fight food insecurity globally. It reminds us that science is not the property of one culture or religion. Recognizing Africa's role in global science challenges stereotypes and highlights the importance of supporting scientific development in every part of the world for collective progress. Now, let's proceed to the mathematical foundations from ancient Africa. Of course, mathematics in Africa began 2,000 years, I mean, 1,000 years ago, rather. Just like the Egyptian. No? Egyptians developed formulas for area, volume, and fractions over 35,000 years ago. And even the approximately determined the value of pi. These Egyptian scholars. Yoruba people located from Nigeria, they created a base 20 counting system involving complex subtraction, showing advanced abstract thinking. Libam bone, a tool possibly used for multiplication and tracking lunar phases, suggests African women may have been the earliest mathematicians linking math to menstrual cycle tracking. Now, try to think of the 360 degrees in circle or calculating buildings floor area. These are practices rooted in African mathematical traditions. The Limbombo bone is like an ancient version of calculator combined with calendar. That is, these Limbombo bone was used by female Egyptians or female Africans, in which they used these as one way of tracking their menstrual cycle. This proves that the practical needs often drive mathematical innovation, whether predicting Nile floods or managing agricultural cycle. And it is a reminder for us that scientific discovery often emerges from everyday problem solving. Aside from experts in mathematical foundation, African people also are expert in terms of astronomical and of course the application of math, which is the engineering marvels. Africans develop highly accurate astronomical systems. Egyptian created a 365.25 day calendar and water clocks, which is similar to our calendar system. African Stonehenge in Kenya functioned as precise calendar around 300 BC. The Dogon people in Mali knew about Saturn rings, Jupiter's moons, and the Sirius system's hidden companion star, or the Sirius B. Of course, engineering feats included Egyptian pyramids, Zimbabwe's granite walls, and Timbuktu's palace and universities. Now, in today's generation, such as NASA's engineers, they rely on calculations of planetary motion, which is the advanced understanding the Dogon people already processed centuries ago. And this precision in pyramid construction rivals modern engineering, with each stone weighing several tons yet placed perfectly. It shows that astronomy and engineering are interconnected. Both require mathematical precision and, of course, long-term observation. It also emphasizes that scientific knowledge can flourish without modern technology if observation, skill, and collaboration are strong. Ancient African societies had also medical practices comparable, or should I say, they are at par compared to Europe before colonization. They have herbal medicine in which they used plants containing aspirin-like compounds and antibiotics. They also have surgical innovations in which they perform brain surgery, screen gaps, and even C-sections, and of course, the presence of anesthesia. They also have antiseptic practices in which all surgeries were done in sterile conditions centuries before European medicine adopted similar standards. Now, when you take aspirin for headache, you're using a concept Africa's people applied 1,000 years ago. Cesarean sections were safely performed in Uganda way long before Europe considered them viable. And this demonstrates that medical progress is a universal human endeavor, and this development of science and technology, more specifically in Middle East and Africa, it teaches us that valuing traditional medicine alongside modern science can inspire breakthroughs, especially when combining ancient wisdom with a traditional or contemporary research methods. So please take note of the important um, highlights and innovation of each innovators, each country also. Now, to end this presentation about the development of science and technology in the Middle East, it tells us that it reflects us that about the timeliness of pursuit of knowledge and innovation. So from the foundational concepts in mathematics and astronomy to the life-changing advancement in medicine, engineering, and daily living. And these civilizations have shaped the trajectory of global history. Of course, their inventions and ideas, it was born from cultural wisdom, practical necessity, and even intellectual curiosity. And up until now, it continues to influence our modern world, reminding us that the roots of today's advancement often lie deep in the advancements in the past. And by studying these legacies, we not only honor their creators, but also draw inspirations to innovate responsibly for the future. That would be all for my presentation.